Welcome. We are preparing for 2025 with self-love and inner balance. To do that, we are speaking with relationship and self-love coach Anne-Marie Emmanuel. Thank you so much for making the time this morning. And I still say in season greetings because we haven't reached Lewa yet.
Yes, season's greetings. And thank you so much for having me.
Definitely our pleasure. But let's start from the ground up, please, because when we talk about self-love and balance, let me get some definitions and we continue the conversation from there, please.
Definitions of self-love.
Yes, because I think sometimes when people say love and self-love, they can mean different things. So what do you mean when you say
self-love has been very esoterical because a lot of people don't really understand the depth of what it means. But self-love is the foundation by which we are connected to our heart, our body, our mind, and our soul. So there are three components to self-love. Self-love as a choice. So we have to look at the choices, the moment-by-moment choices that we're making every day, that we have to choose. Are we choosing to say yes when our heart really wants to say no? Are we choosing to indulge in gossip or conversations that doesn't really honor who we are, instead of us being mindful and filling our minds with positivity? Are we choosing to say yes to the urge to have that second slice of cake or that third or fourth glass of alcohol that we know is not really good for our body? Are we choosing to say yes to feeling to stay under the covers, that cuddly feeling under the blankets, when we know we should be getting up to do our exercise routines? So those are some of the things. Are we choosing to say yes to the desires of our heart and soul rather than being stricken by fear and not ever following our dreams and our passions and purpose?
And I like the fact that you, when you're talking about self-love, and what I'm getting from you, it's not an enabling sort of thing, but there's a level of discipline to it. I know somebody saying the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. So in terms of saying, okay, well, I need to be the master of my ship in terms of charting my own course.
Yes.
But in terms of going into 2025, though, what are some of the things, or how do we take lessons, experiences of 2024 and start to craft them in a way that we can enter 2025 with self-love?
Well, when you look at 2024, there are probably things that you wanted to accomplish that you didn't accomplish. So that's a good place to start. I say the three main things that I take into every year is a practice of meditation, a practice of visioning, and a practice of introspection. So if meditation is so vital to our connection to the source of who we are and the source of the universe. So it stills the mind, it quiets your mind, it gives you an opportunity to connect with yourself, to listen to the voice of your inner wisdom, and to really receive the guidance and the protection that you need to move forward in life. Now, some people may say, I'm not good at meditation, so that's okay. If you're not, if you tried it and you don't like it, you still have some others. So the visioning is very important, especially in the new year, because we all make resolutions, and we know what happens with New Year resolutions, right? And the reason why we don't follow through is because it stays in our head. But creating a vision board is one of the things that I encourage my clients to do, because it takes the intention from your head and it puts it on paper. So it becomes a visual thing, it becomes a tangible thing. It's something that you can see, you can feel, and in creating the vision board itself, it takes time. I start my vision boarding from October, so that I have 3 months to think about what I want to do, what my intentions are, and to really gather all the things that need to go on there. So that takes a lot of thought process. So it helps you to connect more to the things that you want. And there's something very magical to me about vision boards, because I would create a vision board, and like everybody else, I forget about it. And then somewhere about June, I would say, oh, let me get with the program. And when I look at the vision board, I would have accomplished most of the things that I had on there. So and I have clients who said the same thing. So it's something very magical. I think the energy that you put into it creates an energy and an activation that the universe can collaborate with and make it happen.
Because it's almost as though because you've taken it out of your mind, you've put it there, so it's back into your unconscious, working towards implementing. But you said there's a third thing.
The third thing is introspection. And that is very, very important because we have 3 states of consciousness: our superconscious, conscious, and our subconscious. We operate a lot in our conscious state, but so we try to fix the problems that we have in life from that conscious state. But that's not where the root of the problem is. The root of the problem lies in our subconscious state, which is 10 times more powerful than any of the other states, mind you. So that is, in our subconscious, we're totally aware of what's going on there. Unless you have done introspection work, you're totally aware. It's an automatic default place that holds sabotage, self-bullying, inner child issues, trauma in life. It holds our ego, all of those things that causes us to not be successful and aligned to the things that we're saying we want to do. So it's very, very important for us to do the work to get beneath the surface and understand what is holding us back, what is stopping us, what is causing us not to be successful.
But to be successful, we need to make those moves forward. So in terms of if we had to start incrementally, what is the first thing you'd suggest to someone in terms of moving into 2025? Is it meditation, visioning, introspection, doing a self-audit, saying, okay, well, this is what happened, this is what I want to happen? How do we start to move into 2025 with love in terms of like, what's the low-hanging fruit, the first things?
But again, like I said, the first things would be, if meditation is something that you do, that would be the first thing. The visioning and really being intentional about yourself, giving yourself what you need to thrive. So those things that I mentioned are things that you really, if you haven't done any of those things, the first place I would start is to look into seeing how I can align myself to those 3 things.
Okay, and I want to go back to that level of discipline, though, because in terms of being able to tell yourself no, sometimes you want to tell other people no. So in terms of setting boundaries, whether within or without, how do we go about some of those sorts of things, especially if we're saying, okay, well, this is a change that I want to start making?
Well, the work that I do as a self-love coach, I try to tell people that you can do as much as you like, but if you don't do that work to get back to the core of who you are, the work of self-love is the discipline that we're talking about, because it's the foundation. If you're going to build a house, the most important thing is the foundation, because it has to support all the rooms or the levels that you're going to put on it. So it's the same thing with your life. You have to get back to foundation. So you have to be willing enough and caring enough for yourself to say, I need to pause, and I need to prioritize the things that I need to do. And so you won't find yourself in that loop of continually trying, giving all you can, and then ending up in the same place all the time.
I think sometimes when that loop that you would have spoken about, we can find pieces where we have a little setback. And in terms of dealing with those setbacks, as well as celebrating small wins, I think sometimes we just keep on running on that treadmill, so we don't take the time to notice this is what this is, and then deal with that to be able to go further, as opposed to just continuing that loop.
Yeah, well, anytime we are taking on something in life, we are going to have setbacks. So that's a given. So the first thing is to acknowledge that there's a setback, or what I call a breakdown. You acknowledge that there's a breakdown happening, right? And you state what it is. So you become present to that's what's happening, instead of hoping that it shows up as something else.
And with that in mind, though, I want to ask, though, how important is it to have someone to help take you through this process? Because what you feed yourself and what you feed grows. So in terms of being able to create that enabling environment, be it accessing a coach possibly accessing some of the writings of the coach. So take me through that sort of access, please. We have about 3 minutes, so I want to get to that as well. Thanks.
It's vitally important to not try to do this work on your own. A professional coach or a professional program will help take you into, because it's a very scary place to go to deal with those traumas and those things that I talked about. So the best thing to do is to invest in yourself and be willing to hire a coach. There are lots of coaches that are doing the work of introspection and shadow work, or there are programs as well, like the one that I took part in, that helps you to get to that place. So that's where I would start. It's an investment that you're making for yourself, but what's waiting on the other side of that is really, really fun, fulfillment, and a life that you love.
And I said that I wasn't going to use the term shadow work unless you said it. So I'm glad that you opened that door for me. But in terms of the investments in the 2 minutes that we have, one of the things you can also invest in is in the literature. This book that you have here, Rise Up, Ignite Your Inner Fire, I think it's one of 4. But speak to me a little bit about this, Nance.
Right, so this is an author collaboration with the Lisa Nichols, who I believe is one of the best motivational speakers out there. And I was really honored to be able to collaborate with her. I've been on her campus since 2017, doing work with her. She has been my mentor and my inspiration. So it was very surreal for me to be able to collaborate with this book. But the book really focuses on encouraging you to build and cultivate that relationship with yourself. The name of my chapter is Love Yourself First. And it emphasizes the importance of going within and doing the introspective work that needs to be done, because true success and happiness is dependent on having a really good understanding of your true identity. And then you can take that and create a life that aligns to your passions and purpose.
Reminds me of this song, I've been to everywhere, but I haven't been to me. Sometimes we go all over the place, but we don't do that work that is necessary on the inside, which would allow us to function a little better in terms of how we engage with different people. But the name of your, and I'll call it outfit, is Passion Kairos. And Kairos translates, as I read it, to a time when conditions are right for the accomplishment of a crucial action. And I really think that the time is now is very timely that we're having this conversation. I want to thank you so much for giving us some of those pointers, those breadcrumbs that we can take a little further. And if you want to follow a little more of Miss Emmanuel's work, you can follow her on Passion Kairos. This is Facebook and Instagram. And the website is www.passionkairos, and Kairos is KAIROS.com. Preparing for 2025 with self-love and inner balance. Thank you so much,
Ms.
Emmanuel, Anne-Marie Emmanuel. And we ask you to stay with us. The Now Morning Show, it continues after this.